Welcome to the Athletes in Motion podcast, from race to recovery, with your hosts, Tom Riegel and Kenny Bailey.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Kenny. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I'd like to introduce you to Alisha Russell. Alisha, welcome to our podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
So, Alisha, you've got many titles. You're a woman of many titles.
Yes, sir.
So, you are the pickleball coordinator for Lifetime.
Yes.
You are also a pickleball pro.
Yes.
And I'm more than a little curious on how you become a pro. You're also, I believe, the lead coordinator for the Music City Pickleball?
Yes, lead instructor.
Lead instructor.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you live, breathe, and eat pickleball is pretty much.
I do.
Cool.
That's my second job, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yes.
Other than pickleball too, but lots of pickleball.
Yeah. So what we want to talk about today is sort of like you cannot deny the increase in the amount of people playing pickleball. It's ridiculous. Agassi and McEnroe are playing now on ESPN.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That was
right?
so fun.
So, but before we get into that, we kind of want to talk about you. So, growing up, was sports something that's always been in your life, or how did your journey start?
So I grew up here in Franklin. I'm one of
You're
the,
an OG.
I know.
Wow.
One
Wow.
of the very few.
like
I've
the
been
third
here for
one
a
I've
really
met.
long time. And so I played, just a few sports. I was a cheerleader, did some wrestling, and played some softball, played some basketball, but nothing. I had no racket sport background whatsoever.
Sorry, you were a cheerleader and a wrestler.
Yeah, that's a good combination.
That's a great combination.
Yeah.
I was
How
just
did
thinking
that work out?
Well, I got a bronze medal.
Did you
Nice.
really?
I did. Yeah.
Sweet.
I did. Yep.
Okay.
I wrestled for Page High School.
No kidding.
Outstanding.
No.
Nice.
I know.
Yeah, our kids went to
Okay.
Page, so
Oh, good.
I live right there. So
Great school.
So at that time, you were probably, it was a tiny high school at the time too, right? So
Yes, it wasn't. Well, it wasn't tiny. It
not
was
way back when. I don't mean to make it assume that you were like,
Ancient.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that.
You're
That's
old.
okay.
She's not. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was a big school.
Yeah.
For Franklin standards, I think.
Yeah.
I lived in a neighborhood where half the kids went to Page, half the kids went to Franklin.
Got it.
So it was
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
school.
So when did racket sports start entering your life?
Racket sports entered my life about 8 years ago when I was introduced to pickleball.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Wow.
So I had
So
nothing.
no tennis background,
No.
no racquetball, nothing else.
No.
You went straight to pickleball.
Straight to pickleball.
What was it about it that sort of started to pique your interest?
So I learned about the game at the Franklin Rec Center.
Okay.
And after I had my youngest son, I needed something to do. So I would just walk the track above the gym there at the rec center. And one day, all of a sudden, these nets showed up, and all of these older
Yes.
people, I don't know
Yeah.
a nice way to say it, but these older people showed
Yeah.
up, and they started playing this game. And it was so intriguing to me just to watch them. I started wanting to come walk more on the track just so I could watch them play whatever they were playing.
Yeah.
And then they put this sign up in the corner that said pickleball, the world's fastest growing sport. And this was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was 7 or 8 years ago. And so these weren't even real nets. I think they were using like poles and like some sort of
Just
badminton net. and
makeshift.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
throwing it up there.
but they had so much fun. They would laugh and carry on and scream and grunt and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And so one day there was a gentleman that was there all by himself, and so I kind of hurt my feelings because he was hitting the ball against the wall. So I just went down and I was like, "I'm Alisha. I don't know what you're doing, but I've seen you play, and it looks really fun. And if you need somebody to hit with, I'll hit with you."
Yeah.
And so he kind of showed me the ropes. He didn't move very well. He was 90 years old.
Jeez.
He was
Wow.
90 years old. His name was Ray.
That's awesome.
Nice. My hero.
Shout out Ray.
Yeah.
And so he taught me the game, and they were all so kind and funny, and
Yeah.
it was just like this weird kind of community. I was probably the youngest by maybe 20 years or so.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's intriguing about this whole thing is how pickleball became a thing. Is normally it starts out with like kids are skateboarding, and all of a sudden skateboarding becomes snowboarding, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? Most sports start as a younger one, and then older folks do. This is one of the rare sports where you have people that are in their 60s and above that are playing kind of a recreational sport. That all of a sudden, how come do you think it I'm intrigued by the fact that it's gotten to the point where we do have like former tennis pros that are playing this thing. How come you think it sort of started to ooze down into sort of a real competitive, like people in their 20s are playing, people in their 30s are playing, when it was traditionally, elderly folks that are playing it?
Well, so at the times that I was going to play, it was in the morning, and so mostly there were retired people, obviously, but then there was like later times and to play, like the opportunity to play later in the evenings, and so I kind of filtered up to the later times and saw that there was much younger people that also played this game, which I hadn't seen before.
Sure.
It just kept growing and growing from at that time. Kind of the tournament scene came on into play.
Isn't that amazing? You add competition to something like a tournament to find out who's rated, and then all of a sudden, then things get serious, right?
So that's kind of what happened. Somebody asked me to play a tournament, and it was like, a tournament? Like, okay.
Bring it
and
on.
So,
Here you are.
right.
And Rocky Balboa in that thing.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, so you train and you get better. And so that kind of thing is what made me realize that I wasn't playing the right way. I wasn't doing things the right way. I was just out there having fun. And then if you have any sort of competitive little seed inside of you, it just kind of grows
quickly
especially when you do something cool on the court, and you're like, oh, that's awesome, and then you do something really bad, like 2 shots later, and it's like, oh gosh, why did I do that? So that keeps you coming back.
It's
right?
like Vegas, right? It's like
Exactly.
sometimes you'll hit it, sometimes you won't.
Yeah.
So before we get too far down the track, explain to people sort of most people are familiar with tennis. Most people are familiar with racquetball, at least. So tell us pickleball. If you can just give us sort of I'm brand new. If you're going to explain pickleball to me,
The breakdown.
How would you break it down?
So pickleball is like giant ping pong. It's like playing on
I've never
top
heard it
of a
that.
giant ping pong table.
Okay. Okay.
It's more like ping pong because you're using a paddle. Tennis is racket,
sprung racket, right?
strings. So that's the way I describe it. If you have any sort of tennis or racquetball background, you're automatically going to be a step ahead of everybody else just with hand-eye coordination. But that's how I describe it, as giant ping pong. The rules are the worst part. Keeping score is the hardest thing to get down.
2-2-1. What?
Yeah.
No.
What?
1-2-1.
1-2-1.
1-2-2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what it is. It's a mixture of tennis and ping pong, but I describe it as giant ping pong.
But it has a kitchen.
Yeah,
So there's cooking involved.
There's cooking
right?
involved. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The kitchen.
Why is it called a kitchen?
I don't really know why it's called a kitchen. I don't know. That's just the slang, but
It's just stay out of the
we
kitchen.
are taught to not call it the kitchen
Oh, really?
when you're
Okay.
teaching. There's an actual term for it.
Oh,
What is
okay.
that?
It's the non-volley zone.
The non-volley zone.
Yes.
Or NVZ.
Wow, that's
You
right.
always TL
Look
it.
at that.
It's an NVZ. Matter of fact, you will get shirts that says NVZ with a circle and a
NVZ
slash.
and a
through it.
slash through it. There you go.
Yeah, good job.
the
I don't know
NVZ.
why it's called the kitchen.
That's interesting.
but
That's how I always.
There's lots
heard
of
it.
fun.
Lore behind that.
Yeah.
So, and for people on the 1-2-1 thing, right? It's the idea that you're supposed to do your score first or the opponent's score first.
Yours first.
Yours first. So if I'm 1, 2, and then I'm the first server, so that's 1.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
that way, they understand
Score,
it's
your
two
score,
servers.
their score, server number,
Yep.
server. Right.
And you only score on the serve. Is that
That's
correct?
right.
Okay.
Okay.
Except for, like, if you saw this weekend's with McEnroe and Agassi, they were doing a different version of pickleball, major league style, where
okay.
they were using rally scoring. And then the servers only serve on their even scores, and the other server serves on their odd scores. So it was a little bit different. So it was
Oh,
kind of
okay, yeah.
confusing for people that
The
are,
average player
Yes,
was like,
yeah.
the rules changed.
Right.
Was it intended to be more difficult that way, or was it? Do they design that just because it's more competitive to do it that way? or they just want to make everyone confused?
Yeah, more like that. More like that. So
There's more intrigue.
There is more intrigue now with Major League Pickleball, with all of the celebrities that are buying teams and buying
isn't that
into the
crazy?
sport. It's awesome.
LeBron bought a team.
Yes, he did.
Like you do.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, LeBron's got enough
chump
change. Yeah. You want to buy a team? All right. Well,
Sure.
But the scoring for Major League is just different. They've kind of come up with their own scoring system, and it's been amazing. It's really fun to play it that way, and it's really fun to watch on TV. Playing it that way with rally scoring. There's a freeze moment where you then after rally, there's a point in time that you can only serve on your score, only score on your serve.
Okay.
So it can make the matches go longer, and it's a lot of fun.
So how did you go from, geez, I'm hitting balls with a 90-year-old to now you're a pro? Is there a league? I'm assuming there's a league, right? Are there two leagues? Or is there like competing leagues? Is it like the NFL and XFL, or what?
Yeah.
Do you have to like pledge an allegiance, like Live Golf and PGA, or?
There is no. So there's different
$20 million
levels.
buy-in.
Yeah.
Haven't quite seen that check yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
Still looking. There's a lot of different versions of a pro. I use that term loosely for myself just because I'm a pickleball pro at Lifetime. And sort of any type of instructor, like you look at a tennis pro at a country club or something, it's kind of the same thing. I don't tour with the pros. They are in a whole nother league. But I just kind of got better and better, training and practicing. I had a good friend that was a pro, and she kind of helped me along and got me into coaching. And so now I do a lot more coaching than I do tournament play. But I'm looking forward to doing some more tournaments starting probably next year.
Nice.
So is there kind of an aura when you walk into the pickleball at Lifetime? It's like, that's the pro.
Yeah.
That's Alisha. That's the pro.
That's the pro.
Coming in, pro coming in. Pro coming in. Do people like look on, crap, Alicia's here. Awesome. That's great. Look, oh, she's on my court. Oh, yay.
Oh, yay. Look at the time. I got to go.
I know. That happened just yesterday. I feel so bad that I play a lot of easy games, especially when I'm teaching beginners.
Yeah. Do you have like a person that follows you that opens your bag for you?
No.
You don't want to crush the spirit of the beginners. You don't want to just go out there and just crush them, because then they'll be like, I'll hate the game and go away. So
I think they need to develop a pickleball caddy, is what I'm saying.
Oh, is that what you're thinking?
It's like, hey man, the person's kind of curving on the end. They notice that they're doing the back corner curve. So what you want to do is do that. I think they need a pickleball caddy.
They do the wind.
That's funny.
They do
You
the
can
wind.
develop
love
that.
Yeah, the fan just came on.
The fan just came on, so you
And
want
left.
The wind is the worst.
Yeah.
Pickleball.
Yeah.
I think I just developed a thing.
I think you just did.
A pickleball caddy. I'll do that.
My neighbors always seem to play outside when it's the windiest, and it's just
really?
like you watch the ball just go, all over the place. It's crazy.
Awful.
So you get somebody that's new like me. Top 3 biggest mistakes that newbies make when they first start.
Stepping away from the kitchen. Most beginners are nervous about being that close to the net. The balls. It's a small court. The balls are coming hard and fast at you. So, stepping away from the court from the net would be probably the biggest mistake. And then hitting the ball of the air in the non-volley zone or the kitchen, hitting the ball. So that there's a lot of mistakes there. And then there's a 2-bounce rule where it has to bounce on the serve off and then bounce off the return. And so a lot of people don't let the ball bounce after the serve.
Yeah, if they're up a little closer and it's coming at them, they hit it.
So people keeping their paddles down below the net, kind of leaving their body open. Takes a lot more time to get your paddle up to be able to take a ball out of the air if you have your paddle down beside you rather than it's already there in front of you.
Yep. And I am absolutely the worst at the second bounce one, because I see it coming up and I'm like, I'm going to crush the crap out of it. I'm going to go crush the crap out of it. And I'm 2 feet in the kitchen, like 2 inches off the net doing this. And they're like, okay, there's 6 things you did wrong just now. I'm feeling good about it.
I'm feeling good.
Just so you know. I crushed that. Just so you know, I crushed it. Like, well, you illegally crushed it. So.
No, that's the worst part when you do something so fabulous and then they call it off because it was a fault of some sort of
kitchen?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. McEnroe, I guess, had his toes in the kitchen, and did he lose it completely, or did he just?
I mean, it was funny.
He was fundamentally like.
For McEnroe, he probably
thing,
was
right?
very, very controlled because
Yeah,
he usually loses it.
He had some good banter back and forth with the ref.
That's good.
It was
always
funny,
does,
but
he was always entertaining.
He had a lot of foot faults actually.
Yeah,
it was fun.
So there's rules. There's rules to the game, right? So they're hard rules, right? Kitchen, the volleys and all that sort of stuff, the scorekeeping. But there's also etiquette, I think, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to figure out. So just for people to know, I just started playing pickleball at Lifetime. I'm kind of a noob. I've played racquetball before, so I feel comfortable with a paddle. And it's great for lateral movements because, we're triathletes. I tend to move forward. That's all I do.
Lateral's not in our
we go
DNA.
We
So
swim
this is good
forward,
practice
we bike
for us.
forward,
I
we
gotcha.
run forward.
Yeah.
We do everything forward. There's nothing sideways about anything.
Yeah.
So it's fun to do that. But one of the hard things is around the etiquette when people walk in. So what should one understand about that etiquette? Like, how do you know when you've got next? How do you know to do doubles versus singles? Can you help us understand sort of so I don't kind of walk in and step on somebody's...
Sure. Well, at Lifetime, so we do have pickleball etiquette on the wall at Lifetime. Those are not rules. It is just kind of etiquette.
Have you seen that, Kenny?
I have not.
Since you've been just checking.
I have not.
A note to Lifetime, maybe make them bigger.
Make them bigger. I didn't bring my glasses.
Some of them are really funny. Next time you go, you should definitely read them. They're pretty funny. It talks about sarcasm and all kinds of stuff.
Then I can't play because that's my whole game.
Take a picture. We'll put it on the YouTube.
I do. I'm doing this.
Yeah. Walking right like
So I did.
doing the ring thing. Yeah.
I did it.
You do.
What I did say though, because the ball's coming at you fast, I'm like, look, people, this is my moneymaker right
That's
here.
right.
Don't be hitting this part. So,
That's right.
This is.
So at Lifetime, we have a paddle system, and there's a paddle rack that's hanging on the wall. You just come in and you put your paddle down. It depends on how many people are there. If there are 8 or more paddles, then they'll rotate 4 on, 4 off.
Okay.
Otherwise, the first 2 go on after the losers come off. So you can either choose to split with the people that were just there, or you can just have a partner and get in there.
So it seems to me, and tell me if I'm treading on territory here, but it seems to me that there's like some people that seem to be more senior that have been doing it longer there, like they'll determine whether or not, look, only two wins per court, right? Is that one of the etiquettes? Like if you win twice in a row and there's a lot of people, you're supposed to
get off.
Yes.
Get off, right?
That is
But
correct.
there seems to be like, I don't know when that, I'm too new, so I'm just like, whatever, you just tell me where to go and what to do. And I'm sorry I hit it up in the air like that. But how, I mean, is it just, everyone's pretty cool about it, I guess? Or... You know what I mean? Because it seems like every once in a while you hear some grumblings. Like there'll be a couple of singles playing. And it's like, hey man, you guys start playing doubles, dude. Or
If
like those people won twice. Why are they still there?
Right. That gets kind of tricky and spicy. I am also the complaint department at Lifetime, so I get a lot of that.
Is it?
This person stayed on for too long, and my feelings are hurt. And
so we're giant kindergartners. Is basically
you nailed it. Nailed it.
Big time.
Yeah. So basically, it's an honor system.
Yeah,
if you win 2, you need to get off and let somebody rotate in.
Yeah.
Most people will tell you because people are watching.
Yeah. I just want to I don't want to paint a bad picture. It's not like chaos and stuff. No, I mean, it's really, people are super nice, right? And they're really inviting. I'm new, right? So there's some players that are like you that are much more experienced that when I come in, they kind of don't completely kick the crap out of me because you want people to do that. So I just want to not paint a picture that it's a bunch of, fighting 6-year-olds.
5-year-olds running around like.
Well, I've only had to break up 1 fight.
Okay, well,
that's
good.
So that's pretty good.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
Because they get
It
really
is a lot of
competitive.
personalities.
Yeah.
A lot of different personalities. A lot of people think that they're really fantastic at the game, and they probably are in their
in their mind.
So that's the thing. People are proud of themselves, and rightly so.
Yeah.
So I think that's the challenge, right? Because for me, I want to be able to play more, but sometimes you go, and I think Lifetime was doing like a tournament coming up. So there was a lot of folks practicing, right? So when I go there, how does is there how does somebody that's less experienced that needs kind of like, if I go in solo, because I would go in with a buddy of mine and we would be, and he understands where my skill level's at, so
Good.
I'm not going to piss him off, too much. How does like a single person like me, if I came in on a Tuesday at 2, kind of, what's the etiquette of asking sort of like, hey, I'm at this level, I'm struggling to ask the question because I'm not quite sure. Like,
Yep. So if you just show up and put your paddle in, it's honestly that simple.
Okay.
At different locations, they may have a side that is much more advanced, and then an intermediate.
Oh yeah,
side,
that court
and
at
then
Lifetime, I don't go over there.
go there.
I'm scared. I'm very scared.
Well, you'll get
Those
there
are people
one
up in the
day.
kitchen. They're just like,
You'll get
a lot
there.
of
like
one
the ball
day.
never touches the ground.
A lot of
Just like
grunting going
crazy.
on over
There's
there.
a lot
Yeah.
of, they hit the ball
Good
hard
reaction
over there.
time.
Yeah, they do.
So at Lifetime, there's only 3 courts. So we can't really have that designation of this is beginner, this is intermediate, this is advanced. But the super advanced or super competitive people, as you said, we've taken that one court to make it a little bit more competitive for them because nobody wants to get their feelings hurt. And nobody, it's not an enjoyable game when you get somebody that is very good and somebody that's very new.
Yeah.
So the first 2 courts, it's pretty simple. Just get in there and go. We do have some beginner times for just beginners on Sundays, but there's clinics. There's
So
lesson
would you
time.
recommend somebody that's getting into it to get somebody like you to kind of help coach them for a while, just kind of get the
just to
basics
get comfortable?
down?
Get comfortable, and then you be
Learn the
introduced to
rules.
different people. Yeah. So especially if you don't know the rules, but you know the rules. You played several times there now, right?
I know the rules. It's whether or not I abide by the rules.
Sure, well.
Because adrenaline's hitting, right? You're like, you're in the middle of it. And you're like,
Rule breaker.
That's why he's asking about the etiquette. All right.
Right.
exactly. So what can I get away with?
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to figure out.
Where's the gray area?
Exactly. And how gray is it?
So what about the paddles, right? What does a beginner need to get in there? Because I'm learning, like I've only played a handful of times.
Mm-hmm.
I said my neighbor put in a pickleball court and has been teaching everybody that they possibly can. It's been fun. But all of a sudden he's got like 600 paddles.
Yep.
And they're like ridiculously expensive paddles. Like I'm like, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So what is it about the paddles?
The
What do I
paddle
need to
game is
get?
strong right now. It is a good market to be in. So most beginners kind of just get the pickleball starter pack off Amazon, and those paddles I don't recommend wasting your money on 2 paddles and 4 balls for $60 or $30 or whatever that is, just because injury happens and you're playing with something, you're making everything harder for yourself. If you just want to, if you never want to get better, then that's fine.
Yeah.
As soon as I get somebody on the court with me, I'll try to help them along and go ahead and get a better paddle. Just because you're working much harder. There's the weight of the paddle matters, the shape and all of that matters. So
And the material, right? So the bounce off of that, right? Because one could be an aggressive paddle, is that right? Or
yes, yep. So
power? Is power?
There's a couple power paddles now. Beginners do not need that whatsoever.
I can attest to that.
You have no power.
I got one of those thinking I needed that because
Most beginners hit the ball pretty high,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
what
the
I was
last thing you want is
Is power.
the ball goes
And-
up, the ball comes back down at
Yeah.
you. So
when you show up to different tournaments, do you have different styles of paddles depending on the court conditions and everything?
it's your paddle it's very personal. It's a very intimate
like a putter,
relationship that you have.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
with your
Or your
paddle.
bike saddle.
Yeah.
I use my brand is Prokenix. My friend is Selkirk. My other friend is ProLite. It's just kind of what feels good in your hand.
Okay.
And so I have a lot of demo paddles just for people to try.
Yeah.
Because what's good for me is not going to be necessarily good for you. It's like a pair of tennis shoes or running shoes.
Yeah.
You want to get something that's comfortable for you.
And they
just
make the
gotta-
grip different sizes for different
Yes.
hands, right? So you need to get something that's going to be comfortable for
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
your hand.
And it was amazing because we were with 2 things that were funny. Like you said, I show up to this, there's 2 guys on
That's
the
funny.
opposite end. And they're like in their 60s, they're like late 60s. One guy's got a knee brace, and I'm like, what? All right, whatever,
Yeah.
right? And I'm fairly quick, and I got my teammate's a quick player, and we got our ass handed to us by these guys.
Yeah.
They were just killing me. And one of the things he did, I think I just borrowed one downstairs. You know, it was kind of your entry level kind of.
Those are really good paddles, by the way.
Yeah, they are. But this guy's like, hey man, do you want? You know, I have an extra paddle in my bag. Do you want to try that? And I'm like, sure. And he hands me this paddle, and the difference was incredible. I mean, now granted, his was like a $235 paddle. And I'm like, all right, you know, I like the sport. I don't love the sport.
Right.
But it does make a difference. I mean, it was huge. Like more control. You can kind of like, you know, you can tell the difference. And you hate to say, well, it's equipment, because everybody, golfers, cyclists, everybody's like, well, it's not me, it's the equipment.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
right.
You hit a bad shot. Everybody looks at the paddle. What's wrong with this paddle?
Need you paddle.
So that, you know, but you don't want to say it, but it does, to a certain extent, it does make a difference, right?
Oh, yes, in a big way. In a big way.
So when you show up to these tournaments, or you're playing somebody, it was kind of an interesting, because I remember talking to my coach one time was a track. He was a half marathon kind of specialist, right? He already knew when he showed up to the line what position he was going to be, first, second, or third, because he knew which runners were going to show up. He's like, oh, that guy's really fast. I don't have a chance. So, and they were that good. When you show up to a pickleball tournament, and you know opponents that you've played before. Are you like, okay, this is what I need to do, or this person tends to do this? What are those things that you're looking for? Is it like, do they have a particular style which they hit it? Is there seems to be some English you guys can put on the ball?
Yes.
That scares the crap out of me. Like I literally whiffed it, right? I had a guy do that, and I thought it was going to land, and I'm like, and now he calls me Whiffy, because it was like, it was supposed to be here, and it stopped.
Yeah.
So explain to me kind of, when you get prepped for somebody like that, what do you generally look for?
Usually, so with a tournament, the bracket comes out the night before or after midnight or something like that. And so most of us are looking to see who we're playing first, if we have a bye. And everybody's really good at a couple things, right? And so there's a lot of dread involved. Like, gosh, I don't want to play this person. I don't want to play this person. But if you know somebody has a lot of spin or hits the ball like just as hard as they can all the time, it's a lot to deal with. It's a much more mental game than you think. Pickleball is I'd like to say 50-50.
So do you get the names, and then you start Googling them, and then watching videos so that you can pick up and start doing all the tape work?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
So what's the?
And when does the trash talking start?
Yeah, exactly.
When you walk in immediately, do you immediately try to take them mentally out of their game?
You know, there are some people that like to do that. I'm not a big trash talker, but there are definitely people that
Any
do
advantage
that.
you can get?
Yes, it is.
Basically just walk up and walk past them like they're not there.
That's funny.
Yes, it's mean.
It is.
It is.
So
it is.
When it comes to that, I mean, as you progress along, as you get better, is it ball position you're trying to figure out? Is it the English that you're trying to figure out more of? What are those things that kind of get you from sort of I'm good to now I'm getting much better? What are those things that are those traits, if you will?
I think number one is consistency, keeping your shots controlled, and then creating points. The game is changing. It's always changing. That's what's really cool about this sport is you can get really good at it, and then next week it's different. So now the game is moving into a faster direction, where before it was a much slower game. But the thing that's always going to remain is being consistent and controlling your shots. So that's probably number one. Starting to add that English is a really good thing. So, and then controlling like Whiffy over here, you have to, like, that's coming right at you all the time now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough game.
Yeah, and the thing that's kind of also intriguing to me is it feels like at times, you know, you're hitting a lot of power hits. I'm seeing, I watch the other court, right? And you see a lot of power hits, but then all of a sudden everything slows down when everyone's at the kitchen, and you're doing these like little delicate. What's the plan with that? Because it seems like, well, you guys are just dinking it
right? Right.
What's the intent? I
Okay.
guess?
Well, you think about it. That firefight that's all chaos, and who's going to hit it harder? Who's going to win the point?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Anything could happen at that point.
Yeah.
And so controlling it and slowing the game back down, then you can. It's like a redo, reset, calm the game back down, and then you're controlling the point at at that point when you start dinking. You're creating movement for your opponents, and that's kind of what you want.
Okay.
You want to,
And then once you see the hole in that, you're
Exactly.
yeah, when they make a mistake or
Yep.
they slightly out of position, that's where you then you can pounce on it.
Yep. It's really it's not how hard you can hit it. It's about how you can create
Control.
the space. Yes, absolutely.
It's all control. Yeah, if you can hit that ball that moves so quickly and like a wiffle ball, accurately, then you're probably way up on the game.
Yeah,
at that
and
point.
when you're getting those hard shots at you, I can't hit it harder than them. You know, I just don't have as much power as two big old guys across from me, so I have to slow it down and then put it in the kitchen, because if I put it and you're closer to the net, it's impossible for them to rip it and you know, for the ball to come back hard because it's below the net, close to the net.
Yeah.
So then what?
Yeah. And it's weird because you can see it slow down, and then you see this sort of volley going back and forth, and then all of a sudden it gets a little faster, and then somebody tries to do it, and then somebody hits it, because you can hit it without having it bounce, right? Because after the first two bounces, and so then it's this weird back and forth, and all of a sudden, you know, a point happens, and you're like, wow, that was like a flurry. Everything got calm, and then a flurry hit, and then we're done.
And then boom.
And then the trash talking hits. So, is there a sometimes when, you know, this started out, like you said, you were playing with a 90-year-old guy that was just, these people are just trying to get healthy and they're having fun. And, you know, tennis is a huge court. I could get the idea of pickleball being attractive to folks that don't want to run around like crazy, right?
Yeah.
Is there a danger as things get more competitive that we lose that portion of those people that were just doing it for fun?
Yeah, I think we've already seen it.
Really?
Yeah. As the sport's growing more popular and faster, kind of the heart and soul of pickleball is kind of waning, unfortunately. You know, there's a lot of different, with this Nashville market, there's a lot of different groups that play everywhere. And there's, I still know of like those core group of players that were playing at the rec center from 7-8 years ago. I do know that they're still playing, and that they're, you know, still playing at the rec center. Some of them just don't care. They're just there for the fun of it and the social aspect, which has been really appealing to most people. Like that's kind of what
draws everybody in.
Yes, even from the tennis world. Where tennis players used to be like turning up their nose at these lowly pickleball players. They're now like, okay, I get it. I get it now. But yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of waning as the sport grows more popular.
Is there a Michael Jordan of pickleball right now? Is there like everybody that looks up to?
Yeah, and she's 16. Anna
like a phenom kind of deal.
Wow. She's incredible. She's just amazing. 16 years old, that kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's this kid out of? So
I don't know where she's out of. She and her mom.
So there's a pro league that she's getting sponsored for, and
oh yes.
I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, it's like people are now getting paid professionally just to play pickleball.
Yep.
And they're
deals, like endorsement deals, and all of that, sponsorships.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, there's a whole.
I want it
level.
to be like the bowling shirts with the sponsorships. I really hope pickleball goes in that direction. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Whiffy.
Yeah, exactly.
Put your name on it.
I am not going to lose that. So every time I walk into Lifetime, she's like, Whiffy. I'm like, no.
You called it.
Well, yeah, but I didn't think you were going to own it. I mean, I do like the shirt, though. That would
that's a good idea.
The shirt would be nice.
I like that.
I can create a whole character on this one. I got a marketing idea.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of pros that people look up to in different ways. Ben Johns is the guy name that a lot of people look up to. Tyson McGuffin.
Are there magazines that you can buy now that are like Pickleball Daily and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, there's a monthly one that comes out. Pickleball.
I just love that.
Of course.
Yeah.
It would have to be.
I just love that.
There's a lot of podcasts too, and there's a lot of content.
So these manufacturers that you kind of rattled off, they are non-traditional, like they're not Wilson or, you know, the names that you, I think aren't household names. I'm assuming the household name sort of guys are already deep into trying to provide product and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, there are. There are Wilson paddles and head paddles, and there's Babolat. There's some like old school guys, but all the new brands, a lot of the paddles are kind of the same, and then now there's just paddles just for fun, like just for like prettiness and
There you go.
cuteness.
Yeah.
And then I think the shoes, right, are kind of a big deal because one of the things
Yep.
I didn't know if I was going to play.
For it. Really?
Well, I didn't know I was going to play, so I just started playing with just basic,
Yeah.
Yikes.
Nikes. Yeah, and then I went, wow, that hurt.
Yep.
And so, they're court. You can just get a standard tennis court shoe, right?
Yes.
It doesn't
Oh,
have to be
okay.
fancy.
Yeah.
Right?
You can definitely do that. There are pickleball shoes now.
Of course. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Would have to be.
Skechers. Yeah.
The Converse Wi-Fi line.
Pickleball
I can see this already.
shorts
I
and
love that.
t-shirts.
With the
and-
bowling shirt.
Yeah.
With the bowling
yeah.
shirts, I think it'd be awesome, right?
love it.
You got to show some attitude. Gold chains coming, flying around, just kind of.
Like playing you in the tournament the
There
next
you go.
day. I'd be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to play that guy.
Whiffy's here.
no.
Whiffy's here.
Oh, shit. Whoopie's here.
Whiffy's here. That guy. So to recap for the kind of the newer folks, right?
Yeah.
So, super fun exercise, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get in what you get out of it, kind of stuff. You recommend making sure they kind of at least show up to a kind of a beginner's class.
Oh,
or,
absolutely.
Yeah. Don't spend too much at the beginning, right? On a
Right.
paddle.
Right. Yeah.
So that kind of thing.
Just a kind of a, I don't know, mid-range. I would say don't get the $30 paddle. Don't get the $200 paddle. Get something
Yeah.
in between.
Something in between. Yeah.
Or let a, there's a
Or if
lot
you
of
get a chance
opinions
to-
out there. Let an instructor or somebody help
Okay.
you along.
Yeah, and it's super fun. I think to your point, I think you get an incredibly fun workout, but you can also it feels more inclusive, right? Because you're watching other players and you're seeing what's going on. Oh, that's the other rule too. If a ball rolls into your court,
Yeah.
you have to stop play and
Don't go get it. Don't go get
Don't
the
go
ball.
running in
No,
there.
don't do it.
Wait for them to little help.
Just call ball.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
it. Yeah, if you're somebody's in the middle of a point and you come running onto the court or go behind, that's a pet peeve of mine.
It's kind of like a tennis thing too. Yeah, you don't do that in tennis either.
So
Or not
what
supposed
do you
to.
have coming up? What do you have going on? Does Lifetime have tournaments going on? What do you have personally going on? Are you signed up for events? What's happening?
At Lifetime in particular, we just finished our first pickleball tournament there. It was wonderful. We had nearly 100 players over the weekend, which was really cool because we only have 3 actual pickleball courts and we have a gym floor. So we had to use the gym floor and the court surface. So that was a challenge using 2 different balls.
that changes things up. Yeah.
And the lighting over there is different. You can hardly see the ball. Ball matches the floor over there on the gym floor. But anyway, it was wonderful. And we're going to do another tournament in the summer.
Great.
People are very excited about it and kind of clamoring for more. So we have leagues starting soon.
Are there different categories, to your point, pros versus newbies? So if I wanted to try to join that, is there a old guy that's not very good category?
So with pickleball, there are levels.
Yeah.
We kind of talk in numbers. The kind of the intermediate range is 3.0 to 4.0, and then 4.0 and above is pretty advanced. So we have leagues for the 3.0 to 4.0 range, and then leagues for 4.0 up.
Do you self-select, or do you have to have certain wins at other tournaments in order to count yourself as a 4? If I walked in and said I'm a 4, you're like, no, you're not.
Right.
Or
Then show me your duper. So we talk about duper. So that's the kind of the universal rating system now.
Okay.
And that's very spicy to talk about your duper rating and what's going on with that whole thing.
I think
now.
if you actually have one, that means you've been playing for a little bit.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah,
A
I
lot of
have
people-
a rating. What's your rating? You got a rating? 3.
So no, most people just kind of self-rate, and then it works itself out. If you're not winning any games and 4 and above, then kind of where you're supposed to be at.
Yeah, because I'm used to the cycling world because I was road racing. So you start in as a kind of a lower category, and then you have to have a certain amount of wins in order to move up to categories, right? So Cat 3s had to have, matter of fact, there's people that would stay in lower categories just to kick everybody's butt.
Oh.
And if you keep winning, they force you to move up to a category so you stay competitive. So that's what I was asking, is because
And all the people in Cat 5, the very beginning, think that they're Cat 2s.
Yeah, and then
So there's a lot of crashes.
There's a lot of crashes.
Because they feel that they're better than they actually are.
I can show you my
That's scary.
reconstructed clavicle because of that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh,
exactly.
That's
So-
scary.
Yeah, it's kind of
So that's what I was asking. I didn't know if you had to win a tournament or two to get your, what is it?
Your duper.
Duper.
Your duper.
Yes, your rating.
Is that a short for something? Super duper? Or
Yeah.
So is it tournaments that get your rating? So winning games at tournaments get you a higher duper rating?
Well, so it's just kind of changed over to Duper. It was started by the guys at Dreamland in Austin, Texas, who are now with Major League Pickleball.
Okay.
So it was the Dreamland Universal Pickleball Rating System, and so that's different now from the USAPA rating that you used to have, and you could only get that by playing tournaments.
Got it.
Okay.
And so you go.
You can't count your weekend tournaments where you're crushing the newbies and then come back on, look, I'm undefeated.
No.
Crushing it.
No.
I'm a 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I did it.
what is your Duper rating?
I honestly don't know. I don't look at it. I don't
We're not
look at
believing
it.
you.
They just know when you walk in?
I'm just kidding.
No, I don't. I haven't played a tournament since last year,
Okay.
and I haven't played any Duper matches, so I don't know. Your Duper rating can change.
Got it.
By you not even playing.
Oh, really?
Because it can go by your
bring you back down again because you're not playing
your
as much?
opponent. Well, your opponents, if they're still playing and they're getting better, like your Duper can go up just by not even playing, just because
wow.
the people that you've played in the past are still playing.
That's
Okay.
So
Okay.
right. So there's
Oh, interesting.
an app you have to kind of designate a match, a Duper match to,
Okay.
and then you have the 4 players.
Cool.
You all have to agree on it beforehand, and then play your matches. You can play 4, 5, 6 games,
Yeah.
and then log them in, and it gives you a more accurate rating than having to just go travel to play tournaments.
Yeah.
So it's an easier system to use than the old USAPA rating system.
So do you have a tournament coming up you think you're going to be competing in, or you're just kind of
I
playing
have
it
no
loose?
plans for tournaments right now.
Okay.
So there's a lot of life stuff happening. So I'm just kind of hanging out and working as much as possible for now. So next year, I'll start gearing up to train for it.
Okay. So what type of training do you need to do for pickleball? Like, is there strength training? Is there cardio stuff? What would benefit somebody who's an active lifestyle type person that wants to get into this? If there's things to help make them a better player?
Yeah. Cardio is a big deal. You need to be able to withstand the points can last a really long time, and you have to remember to breathe. So really like calming stuff. Yoga would be great. Stretching is a big deal. Strength training is great.
Lateral movements?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of
triathletes.
injuries. There's a lot of injuries that are occurring, right? I mean, there's
there
a lot of
really
ACLs that people that haven't been relatively sedentary, and
You try to
all of a
tweak and
sudden
go.
they try to move sideways, and your body just
Doesn't go.
So the
use
yoga would be
different-
fantastic.
Yes,
Yeah.
you use different muscles too than you realize.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go to a CrossFit class and be sore the next day. You can go play 3 hours of pickleball and be sore in a completely different
I
way.
can
Yeah.
attest to that 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's
are you
no
like
joke.
Rocky 3 where you like go out in the woods when you train and put like a log over your thing and start lifting rocks and
How did you know?
Hey,
That's
I
exactly what I
could
do.
feel it, right?
See, I knew it.
You isolate for 2 months, you come out just eating raw meat, just getting ready to go.
Just to get ready.
Got a
Yeah,
good,
come
got a
in
good
cracking your neck when you walk in. Like, oh, geez, Alicia was in the woods for 2 months. We're dead.
That is so funny.
No?
No,
All right,
there's a good
burst my
playlist.
bubble. Oh,
No, there's
man.
a good playlist. Put some earbuds in, and
There you go.
then just do a light workout, some
Yeah.
stretches, and
Great.
a quick
Mobility.
run. Yeah, something
Lots
like
of
that.
mobility work.
Cool. So Lifetime's got some tournaments coming up.
Yep.
If other people aren't lucky enough to be part of the Lifetime, where can they? Are there other places that you would recommend that they would? Like, does the Y? I think the Y has kind of stuff and other stuff, right? So
Oh, gosh,
they can just
there's-
find a whole bunch of just
Yeah,
kind of look it up.
there's
You should be good.
A lot of places to play. They're all of the rec centers. Unfortunately we don't have nearly enough courts that we need
Wow.
in the Nashville area. Nashville doesn't have any designated pickleball courts.
Really?
Yeah. We have
Wow.
4 in Franklin. There's more coming in Williamson County, but as far as Davidson County goes, it's unfortunate that you're having to use tennis courts. So hopefully somebody.
But anybody,
will bring
because
it.
we have people that listen beyond Tennessee, right? So anybody
Yeah.
to just check your local sort of.
Places to play.
Yeah.
That's a good app to use.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Places to play is good, and then with Music City Pickleball, there's also you can go on there and it shows you kind of where you can play, and open play times are hit or miss, so you really have to kind of
Pardon the pun.
research. Yeah,
Yeah, and
really
basically
kinda
your
have to
local rec
research.
centers and your Lifetime Fitnesses around the world, and you can find those
you go.
spots. So
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you so much. We really
You're
appreciate the time
welcome.
and learning so much about the sport.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
you're
So I want to thank everybody for listening, and thank the coffee shop, the coffee house here at 2nd and Bridge in downtown Franklin as our partner, our coffee partner. We enjoy being here in downtown Franklin. So thanks for all the comments and questions, and give us some thumbs ups and 5 stars, all those great things that help the algorithms, help people get this out there a little bit more. We appreciate all of you. And until the next time, we'll catch you then.